Hello there. Sidney DeCamella here. So today I want to talk to you about anxiety. And what I'm going to cover is the three-step process to how I was able to almost completely get rid of any anxiety I have had in my life, that I've been living with my entire life. So let me just start by saying my entire life means as far back as I can remember. I mean, even just as a young child, I don't want to get too much into um, my upbringing as to why exactly I did have a lot of anxiety. That's for another time, maybe. Um, but I did, even just as a young child, I was just ridden with anxiety. I mean, I just, some things that really pop up as a child were just not even feeling comfortable going on trips, going out of town because I didn't feel like I was in control. I felt so much more in control just being safe at home, with the people around the people that I knew very well, and change was excruciating for me. I just always had a need to try to feel really safe, and I know that a lot of people can relate to that. So I've struggled with trying to overcome this anxiety my entire life. I've been on medication for it multiple times. I've tried, alcohol to get rid of it. You name it, anything I could cling to, I would. Relationships, usually bad ones. Anything I could do to just rid myself of this constant underlying feeling of anxiety. All I ever wanted was to just have a consistency of peace in my life. And and to be really honest with you, it hasn't been until just recently I started noticing, wait a second, I don't really have that anxiety anymore. There have been times in my life where I'd gone through phases where, it was much better than others, but there was always this, almost even this fear of, am I going to wake up today and have this anxiety? And that's been my whole life, my whole life. And I know people with anxiety can completely relate to this. It's crippling at times. So anyway, what I really want to get into is this, what I believe has really helped me, and I can say, like, for the past few weeks, I really have not had anxiety. I've had plenty of other things, but anxiety like that just I always call it this underlying feeling of what's going to happen, where's the rug going to fall out, and I just haven't had that. I've just been completely at peace. And so I want to tell you what's gotten me there. So, like I said, this is a three-step process that has worked for me. This is not something I got from anyone else. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than than what I'm about to share with you. But I can honestly say that these three game changers have made the biggest difference for me. So, here we go. Step number one: meditation. The big M word. So, I personally have had a weird journey with meditation. Um, I've been hearing, I've heard for years and years and years and years that the best way to, really find peace and serenity is through meditation. And I've had the hardest time doing that. My brain just would go nuts. And anytime someone ever brings up, like, I have so much anxiety, I don't know how to get rid of it, to me, in the past year, I've said, have you tried meditation? And 90% of the responses is, yeah, that doesn't work for me. I can't do meditation. And I'm like, I know. I've been there. I used to feel the exact same way. And there's some days where I still feel that way. I'm like, today wasn't as good as it usually is. But the key here is consistency. It's starting small, starting with something that you're comfortable with, finding out what that is, and then being consistent with it and making it a priority, if not the top priority, in your life every day. And so when I say start small, start with just 5 minutes. If you're not familiar with meditation, just start with 5 minutes. Um, I find all of my meditations on two places, um, YouTube or an app that's free called Insight Timer. Insight Timer. Um, it just depends on the mood I'm in or what I'm looking for as to which one I use each day. But you can search for anything on both places. Meditation for anything. Just for inner peace, meditation for anxiety, meditation for um, healing. Been doing a lot of those lately. Um, anything that your heart desires, just go on YouTube and look it up, or on Insight Timer. There, it's amazing. Another option would be I've heard really good things about the Calm app, CALM. I've tried to use that. It just didn't fit for me. I know a lot of people who really love it. So, again, this is all just finding your flavor of ice cream and going with it. And Headspace, I've heard good things about that. I did try that a couple years ago, and I think I did like that. Both of those, Calm and Headspace, you do have to pay for. It's not really expensive, but it's very consistent. So, like with Calm, you have the option of waking up each day and going with the daily meditation that they have available to you, and it's pretty cool how it does ironically just sort of match exactly what you're going through. But anyway, um, at least I found that for me, and I'm sure it happens for everyone else. You're like, how did they know? But anyway, that's a good app. So, Calm, Headspace, yeah. But again, free. It's all free on YouTube and Insight Timer. So start with something small, start with 5 minutes, build up from there. But the big key here is to make sure that you prioritize it in your day. So I used to say that I meditated and it was great, but I never, this was until I actually made this a priority, even on the days where I'm in a funk, I would make sure I got on there and meditated. And trust me, it doesn't have to be perfect each time. Like, a lot of times I get on and I'm just like, I'll get through the whole meditation and my mind has somehow wandered. And I used to judge myself for that and think like, oh God, I screwed it up. I'm not going to get the benefits. But that's not true. It's the consistency, consistency, consistency. Do it, do it, do it. And the more you practice, the better you get at actually really drowning out those thoughts and really being able to get into a Zen place. And what does meditation do? So, meditation just completely calms the mind. It calms the chaos, calms the clutter, calms all the different thoughts, which you're human, you have them all the time. Stresses, the goal is to keep all of that outside and just have your bubble of your space. And it's in that space for me and for most people, especially when you've been doing it for a while, where you really start to get clear answers for deep questions that you have about your life, maybe about your future, maybe about where you want to go, where you want to take your business, what you want to do with your career, where you want to move, where I mean, of course the list goes on, but answers that you've been flip-flopping around for a long time. Get yourself into a consistent place with meditation, and there will be some special times where you will just go to the cosmos, because what it does is it gets you in touch with yourself, the true you, the real you, underneath all of your conditioning, underneath everything that society has claimed that you are, and it gets you in touch with you and your real heart and your real desires. And then it's also a great way to just learn who you are. I mean, we all kind of know who we are, but I mean, until you can really get quiet with yourself, it's hard to really hear. It's hard to really know, right? So I could talk about this forever. Meditation, huge, huge, huge. It wasn't until I started doing it on a consistent, not a sporadic, a consistent basis every single day, even on the days that I don't feel like it, truly. And now I know that if I do skip a day, whether I felt it or not, like I've done it where I've been like, okay, I'm not going to do it today. I'm just way too busy. And that's great. And everything's still fine. But I know that if I start that habit, the old behaviors and the old limiting factors of my life are going to start creeping in and I'm going to start falling into old behaviors. So it's everything in life is about creating a new habit. So if I can encourage you to create one new habit in your life that will absolutely change your life, meditation is the number one. The number one. Okay? So, number two, we've all heard about it, gratitude. And in some of my low places in life, I've been like, oh God, are they talking about gratitude again? Um, you know, it's so easy to slip into seeing everything that you don't have. It's normal. We're human. It's the way our brains work. We're always looking for what it is we don't have and coming from a place of lack. Unfortunately, that's just the way we're created. But how you supersede that is by getting into a practice of gratitude. Okay. And this can look like whatever it can look like for you. Like for me, I've gone through phases where I've done gratitude journals. Those are really helpful. Every day, wake up and write 5 things that you're really grateful for. And then look at that and feel each one. The key is not just to think about it, but to feel it. Close your eyes, hold it to your heart, and really feel each and every one of those things. Bring yourself into the place where you felt them the most. You know, like I have this thing this thing with my house. So I want a new house pretty badly. And but not necessarily because of lack. So don't get me wrong. I just have this vision and I do I do lots of manifesting exercises on this and anyway, but it doesn't matter. The point is I have this thing with my house and I really want a new house. And it's so easy for me to start looking around my house right now and thinking, oh my God, it's just so brown. I want to redo this. I want to redo this. And I need more space here. There's nowhere to put the baby toys. And there's just stuff overload. And how can we, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, but a new house, but da, da, da. Which is fine. That's okay to think like that. And I know that eventually we are going to get a new house. That's great. But so I'm not too worried about that. So don't look at it that way. But this is just an example of my house. And so when I start doing my gratitude, I'll like write my house and I'm like, oh, but I don't really like this house. But then what I have to do to feel it is I remember we're living in the house that my husband lives in. And prior to me living here, he lived in this before we met, I'm sorry. And before I lived here, I lived in a very small little condo in South Tampa, which actually I loved. But it was teeny tiny, wasn't even a dishwasher. I did love it, don't get me wrong. But when I first came to Dave's house, when we first started dating, I was thinking, bachelor, never been married. I'm sure his house is, okay. Um, and so I came here and it was like a really nice house and there was so much space. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I love this house. This house is amazing. And I even remember taking a video of of the house and like sending it to my cousin and maybe like my sister and my mom or something like that. But I remember just thinking like I love this house. There's so much space and he did a really good job of decorating. I think an ex-girlfriend decorated it for him, but anyway. Um and I was just really impressed and I remember thinking in that moment like, wow, maybe I'll move in here. If this dating goes well, then maybe I'll end up living here and this would be so cool. Um I'll miss South Tampa, but it would be really cool to live in this house. And I really appreciated it then. And now time's gone by and our family has grown and we moved all my stuff in here. And now we're just like, oh, kind of not fitting. So what used to be this amazing, spacious house has somehow turned into we don't fit. And so now what I do the house is the perfect example for me because whenever I start feeling like I want a new house, I'm like, let's go back to when we felt so much joy and gratitude about this house. Because you have to do that. You have to bring yourself back to those times when things were like pure and great and amazing at the time. We're always going to want more. That's just how we're designed. But if we can always go back to what we can really appreciate, which is always there, that's where the magic is. Totally where the magic is. So, another thing is like with my baby, if I think about how grateful I am to have him, if I think about how hard the labor and delivery and the afterbirth was for me, I was in the hospital for a month with kidney failure, and I start going down that path. Then I'm like, oh, poor me, this sucks. I didn't get to spend time with him when I was in the hospital for a month, blah, blah. If I start going down that, I just catch myself. It's all about catching your thoughts and saying, okay, look at this beautiful, amazing baby that I have. And how long did I want this baby? I mean, we worked for years to have this baby. I finally went through in vitro to get him after the third round. We finally got him. Like, I am so grateful for this baby. So if I'm looking at my gratitude journal and I'm like, my house, my baby, it's one thing to say it, it's another to go back and feel it. Like I always go back and feel how I felt when I saw those two pink lines for the first time. And and then with my husband, like my husband is so amazing. Sometimes he gets on my nerves, and that's okay because we're human. But whenever I start to go into these snowballs of like wah 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 as me, I always try to catch myself and think back to like what think about a time when I was incredibly grateful for this. If I mean, anyway, do you see what I'm saying? The pattern here. So, a daily gratitude journal is amazing, but it's not just enough to write it. You got to feel it. Put it physically on your heart and feel it and meditate on it or just think about it. Another great way to do this is to do. Tony Robbins has a thing he does called priming. If you know Tony Robbins, he's amazing, and he's created this thing he calls priming. And you can, it's on YouTube, but I'm actually gonna in the description, I'm gonna put a link to the best version of this that I found. And this is just a way where he takes you inside your body and really helps you identify certain things that you are grateful for and really feel them. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Every time I do Tony's priming, I cry. I try to do it every day for a while, but meditation to me, if you want my personal opinion, meditation for me personally is most important. Priming I kind of now do just on occasion when I know I need to really get into my heart, get out of my head into my heart, and find just a lot of gratitude because I know the magic that happens when you are there. Um, right. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. So, Tony Robbins priming, great way to do that gratitude. But otherwise, just whenever you start to feel yourself going down the mindset of lack, just switch that thought around. Just start focusing on what you have, and it's a game changer. So, number one, again, meditation. Number two, gratitude. And the third, so this is all about getting rid of anxiety. The third huge thing for me that I think has really been like the tip of the iceberg for me, or the icing on the cake for me, to rid myself of the anxiety is acupuncture. This is number three, is acupuncture. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a complete expert on acupuncture, but I know that it makes a huge difference. Do I think that I could be where I am right now without the acupuncture? Maybe. Yes. So I'm not saying, if acupuncture isn't really something that you maybe can afford right now. I know I pay around $80 a session, but I've done it with people for $70 a session. Um, that it adds up, but you can, just if it's something that really works for you and is important for you, you'll find the money. So don't let the lack mentality of money get in the way. If you have to go every 2 weeks, whatever it takes, I highly recommend acupuncture for anything. I'm doing it to heal my kidneys. It's working. I'm doing it I always have her put it on points for anxiety just because I know that that's always been an issue for me. But it hasn't been. Ever since I started all of these three things, I've noticed that this underlying piece of anxiety has really left my body. So, highly recommend acupuncture. Do some research on it if you don't know a lot about it, but it's truly helped me. So, those things have been absolute game changers. Now, won't get too much into everything else that I've done to work on my mindset and change, just the quality of my life. That's, what this YouTube channel is all about, is sharing the things that I've learned with other people. But there are other ways. I will say, if you have some PTSD, I know I had some PTSD from the trauma after birth, and it was causing me some anxiety at one point, and some other little things that I have done to eradicate that is I did hypnotherapy and I did EMDR. EM as in man, D as in dog, R. Do some research on that therapy. It has to do with your rapid eye movement and just healing trauma. And I think that that made a difference in my life as well in dealing with my PTSD. So PTSD is no joke. And it can cause a lot of fear and anxiety. So those are two things I would highly recommend for trauma. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. Always feel free to message me. My email, you can find it in my somewhere on my YouTube channel, or send me a message on Facebook. My Facebook link is in there. But my email is lovelifeenterprises2, so the number 2, at gmail.com. Lovelifeenterprises2 at gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And if this has helped, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, let me know. I would just love to hear your feedback. And I hope that this touched you and made a difference. Thanks for watching.